Hi everyone, I am Subdeep. I have recently switched to data science and I am working as a volunteer with DataCan. And DataCan organizes events for beginners and experienced professionals to help them grow in data science domain. And this is the first event of DataCan Kaggle series. And these events will have different topics corresponding to the various steps that we have in an ML process using different Kaggle datasets. In this session, we will talk about EDA, one of the first steps on any ML process. We will use the Netflix movies and TV data show dataset for understanding, analyzing, and visualizing the data. This data can also be used for developing models for movie recommendation. But as I said, this is the first session and we'll be focusing only on EDA. But surely watch out for our DataCan's next events for developing model for movie recommendation. But before jumping to what is EDA, I want to ask everyone that if you have to choose your next movie, how would you choose that? Or what would you find before you on the Google before finalizing what movie you're gonna watch? I suppose you will see the trailer, you will see the cast, director, the rating of the movie for sure, and reviews to finally decide what movie you're gonna watch. So you are investigating some things before you finally taking a decision. That is what basically an EDA. So it's a process of performing initial investigation on the data using summary statistics and some graphical representation to understand the data quality, to discover the patterns, to spot anomalies, and moreover, an overall understanding of the data. And it is always a good practice to understand the data first and then go do the further analysis. Like if you want to do some or develop some models, it's always better to see what columns are relevant, what features are important, how much percentage of null is in the columns, you want to drop them, not drop them, all these things. And we're going to see all these things in our Kaggle notebook in few minutes. So what kind of steps we're going to take in the EDA? So we will see the basic data information like the number of columns, the data types, and then we will do some cleaning and wrangling, that is handling the missing values, then creating new columns and removing unwanted columns if required. And then we will see some outliers and relationship between different columns to understand more about the data. Now we want to see where this EDA comes into a overall ML process. So a process starts with business problem, and then we'll understand how we're going to solve it using some data. And after data, we want to prepare the data for our modeling. And then after modeling, we will evaluate and then we will deploy. So this step of data preparation, where we will see all the data, handle the data, clean the data, and reformat the data in such a way that it could be used for our modeling. That the process, all these steps, it comes under EDA, and all these steps we will see in the data preparation step. So now I'm gonna go to Kaggle and show you how we can create a notebook there. I have visualized all this data into Kaggle, and I'm just going to show you some few things. So this is the competition tab where you would see all the competitions on Kaggle. This is the dataset tab. You would see hundreds of data sets there, and I found even the Netflix data here. Then there is a code tab. Here you would find your notebook, as well as you can create a new notebook. So there are two ways to create your notebook. One way is you can go here and select new notebook, but you have to add the data. And there's another way that I'll show you in a few minutes, but I'll show you here that what's your work tab shows. So it will show you all your workbooks. So you would right now can see this. If you would search my profile, but you will not be able to see this because this is all private and this is public. So we will tend to make it private until we create or we finalize our notebooks, and then we'll make it public to let the other views. The other method to create a new notebook is you'll search for the data set. Like I searched for Netflix. I used this data set, and here is an option to create a new notebook. So you would create a new notebook here, and it will show you the notebook exactly in this way. Just this first column and few settings here. So you would see that the data would be added here. So this Netflix shows, and the Netflix title, so this is mainly the CSV that I have used. So it is already linked to my notebook. So you can see the file path by copying it or by clicking this file here. I will show you that in few moments. So in this notebook, you will see that few libraries are already installed. So you need not to worry with some of the basic libraries that everyone going to use for the wrangling, like NumPy and Pandas. And the other libraries that I have used is Pandas Profiling and Plotly. So I'll show you where I've used this in few minutes. And for Plotly, Plotly is a library which is used for advanced visualizations. If there is some beginner, they can use Seaborn on Matplotlib, which will give you an instance and easy visualization. But Plotly basically gives you too many functions to customize your visualization and makes it more beautiful. And then I have added some table of content where this is the way that we're gonna go through the notebook today. That is where we would start with the data information, then we'll go with handling of the missing data, then creating the new columns, visualizations, and then conclusions. So these are some of the shortcuts that I have added. So I thought like if there is some beginner, that would be helpful for them to have an easy flow. And you can add any package you want, which is not already installed on your notebook by using this command, pip install package name. And then let's jump to our first topic, which is data information. So the first step is reading the file. So you would ask where I have added this input path. So as I showed you, you can copy the path from here, or you can just click on this file and it will show you the file, the features, and you can have like a quick look on the data set, the columns, the column type, and what kind of values are there in the CSV. And again, there is also the path here. So our first step is almost done, like seeing the data. You could use df.head, which just shows you the 5 rows. And if you do not use the head, it's gonna go give you all the rows, but it's gonna create a mess, or the loading time would be slow if you have a huge or large file. So it's always suggested to use head, but you can definitely add any number. And it will show you the number of rows. If it is 10, that means it's gonna show the 10 rows for this file. So the next step is to see the high level information of this data set. So this data set has these columns, the show ID, the type, the title, director, cast, country, and the rest of the columns. And this shows what kind of data type all these columns has. And this shows the number of rows. So right now it shows the description has 8807 number of rows. So mostly it is 8807, but we would see that for the director, cast, country, it has less number of records as compared to the other columns. That means that there are some null values, and which is important to figure out. And this should be the first thing, that if we have null values in our data set or not. And the approach to. Approach to is a standard function that I have created. It's just give you the columns, the missing value count, and the missing percentage. Since it is easy to see here rather than in the first way, the percentage and the absolute value of missing count, because it's going to give you the idea of you that if you really want to keep the column or you want to drop the column. And then we have the approach third. So the approach third is just a one-line statement, but it's going to give you an overall picture of your data. Plus, it's going to give you some visualizations, which are like automated visualizations. Then it will also give you the missing values. So I'll just show you. And you just have to write this. That's it. You can change any data set here, and it will create this report. So in overview, it is showing me the total number of variables, the total number of observations, then the missing cells, its percentage, then again, important thing, if it has some duplicate rows or not, and the total size. And it also shows us how many are categorical values and how many are numeric values. We can also see the individual stats for all the columns. Like for the column type, it has it is a categorical field, plus it has only two values in that column. One is movie and the other is TV show. And there is no missing value, no missing percentage, and it shows how many rows are there for the movie and how many are there for the TV shows. Basically, how many titles or how much content on the Netflix is updated for movies and how many titles are there for the TV shows. So similarly, we can also see the missing values, again, in a visual form, the percentage and the count of the missing values. What I've noticed is that this library did not give me a good automated visualizations. So I found one more notebook that used the same Netflix data and did some automated charts using the other libraries. So these are the other libraries that we can use, again, a single line command or a single line code that can help you to give an automated visualizations. So if I just click here and show you, so this is the Autoviz library that a person has used to create this notebook. So these are the automated visualizations which are created with Autoviz. How cool is it? I mean, and but we should always go beyond from these visualizations, because we could have some other questions to answer. So these are just the basic visualizations, which is good to have, but we should analyze and visualize by ourselves to find out other insights. So the next step would be handling the missing data and deleting the duplicates. So right now in this data, we do not have any duplicates, but we definitely do have missing data. So it is always important to handle missing data because of any statistical results based on the data set with non-random missing values could be biased. So we really want to see if these are random or non-random missing values. There are other libraries too that can help us to understand if these are random and or non-random. But if the number of missing values are quite high, we can definitely drop those columns and we can impute the values. So by imputing, I mean filling the missing values using the available information that we already have in the data set. For example, using mean or median. And there's a good example that I have found also, that if suppose we have a missing value for an individual person, suppose the value is height and it is missing, we could take the mean of an average male to fill the missing values to fill the missing values. So this would make sense rather than just adding 0 for that value. So that's why we always have to think through before we actually impute those values. So I found that these 4 columns, rating, country, caste, and director, these had missing values and errored values in the data set. So for rating, there were only 4 or 5. So I manually filled the data from using the Netflix website. For the country, I used the most common country and replaced that with the blank countries. And for the caste and director, I used just data not available instead of null values, because I do not want to replace it with the common caste or director, because it would not make sense for the titles. So this is some code that I have replaced. For the rating column, so the rating has been given in this format, non-English format, which is not much readable. So I've just mapped to some English terms, which I'll show you in the visualizations later, where I have used it. So these are some of the data wrangling that I have done. So the next thing is creating new columns. So creating new column is important when we want to visualize, or when we feel that in my modeling, maybe I'm going to need these different columns and these are important. But for the visualization, I thought the month column would be important, as I wanted to see if the data which is, or the content which is uploaded on Netflix, does it follow any pattern, or is it like random for all the months? So which we'll discuss it in few minutes. Then let's move to the visualization or analyzing what I've been talking so far. So throughout this notebook, I am using Plotly. Like I said, it is so great in having beautiful visualization with so much of customization. So right now, so it is just showing me the total content on the Netflix. So when I say content, it means the number of movies and the number of TV shows on Netflix. And out of almost 8,800 titles on the Netflix, most of it, or the large proportion of it, is movies. So around 69.7, that is 70% of it is movies, and the rest of it, which is 30% or 2,664, are just the TV shows. So then I wanted to see that what countries contribute, or what countries have the most content for the movies and for the TV shows. So as expected, that US has most of the content, and these are the top 10 countries. So US has the most content, followed by India, United Kingdom, Canada. But we do not see the United States as a top leader for movie content. I mean, definitely for the absolute numbers, but not in the percentage. So the content available in India is heavily skewed toward movies, confirming that the intuition about the big influence of Bollywood in-house movie production. Whereas we could see that the South Korea has the highest percentage of TV shows. So then I also wanted to see what, for which category the maximum content are uploaded for, or for which category it caters to. So mostly it was the adults. So it seems that most content on Netflix caters to adults, and then teens, and then kids. And the same kind of pattern is observed for TV shows. Again, the topmost is is adults, then teens, age above 40, and then the kids. So the next thing I wanted to see is the overall yearly trend. And so I've started from 2007, because the Netflix introduced the streaming media and video on demand. So it made sense to start the graph from here, even though the data contains the year from 1930, I guess. So we see a slow progress in the beginning, but then it picked up in 2014 and 15, and there is a rapid increase till 2018. But by 2018, the content on the Netflix was 13 times of what it was in 2017, which was just 88 number of titles. But it is declining since 2019. And it may be because of COVID. And the other factor could also be the launch of Disney Plus in 2019. And as we know, that some movies have shifted from Netflix to Disney Plus, like the Marvel movies. So this could also have impacted this decline. But it would be great to listen to your ideas as well in your comments. That what do you think that why there is a decline in this total content on the Netflix after 2018? Okay, and then so we have seen the yearly release trend, but now, like I said, I wanted to also see the movie and the TV show yearly trend. So as expected, as the percentage or the total number of movies are higher, we could see that here in the trend, and it is also increasing. And from 2019, the movies, the content or the movie content is decreasing, but at the same time, TV show content is increasing. So it is interesting to see what's going to happen in 2021. So I do have data till 2021 September, but not till December. So it is interesting to see if the movie content is going to fall down below TV shows or not. And then I also was keen to see what's the monthly trend. So like I said, initially I thought that maybe it is the month of December or January where the most of the movies are uploaded because of the festivities or the holidays. But it appears that the movies uploaded on April, in April or on July and December are almost kind of the same. So the average is almost kind of the same. And I also created a function here which helps to see and to segregate the data for each year to see if this trend still holds or not. So I saw for 2019. So definitely it's December, it's not the month for the high movie content, although on average it could be the month. But and if you see for 2020, you would see that there is an increase in the December month. So that's why on the average it is giving us more content for the December month. But you can go to this a notebook and see it by yourself by putting different years and see what's the trend for different months and find some interesting insights, and also let us know in the comment section of this notebook. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to analyze for the genres, like what are the common genres and are they really common between the movies and the TV shows? So the first three genres for both the content is almost the same. So it's international movies, dramas, and comedies for both the movies and the TV shows. But for the movies, the fourth number is documentaries, then followed by action and adventure. But for TV shows, it is crime and kids TVs. So the next thing that I analyzed is the movie duration and the TV show seasons. So it appears that most of the movies on the Netflix are between 80 minutes to 120 minutes almost. And there are only few movies which are above 150 minutes, uh, and uh, and very less, like one or two, which are above 200 minutes. And for TV seasons, mostly all the seasons they have all the TV shows, they have one season, and there's a significant change in the number of TV shows with 1 and 2 seasons. So it would be interesting to know why is that. Maybe you have an idea. Let us know if you feel or if you know about anything about that. And that's it. This is what I analyzed so far, but I still feel that we can see other thing too. Like there's a column called description, which has all the title names of the movies. And we can have the word cloud to see what are the common names or common words that you'll find in different movie titles. Again, an interesting insight. And there are many other things that you can do with this, create some beautiful visualization and find some insights. So in conclusion, I just want to say the things that I have stated in the beginning, that we did exploratory data analysis, again, to understand, to analyze, and to visualize the data, to have a high level information, as well as to find what are the important things in the data, or what are the important insights that could be helpful for the further analysis um, of this data. So now we have completed this first step. The first step, we can be ready with now feature engineering, that we can create some new columns to do movie recommendation later for developing our recommendation model. For modeling step, we can start with the rating data, which is there on the Kaggle website. So it's a competition data, but we can still use this data set that we have been seeing since, I think, for the 30 minutes now. So yeah, and we'll be having a few more events later in the next year, which will be more focused on feature engineering part and the model development part for the same data sets and for the other data sets too. So stay tuned and wait for our new post for our new events. So follow us on LinkedIn, and join also our Slack channel to get some notification on the new events that we have. Thank you.